patiently correction leaves us all alone.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. This one is a real doozy. You guys have heard me talk about my affection for MiN, New York. I've said on multiple occasions that I think it's one of the best stores in the world, fragrances or any type of store. In general, the curation is bar none. The shop is gorgeous, and the MiN New York staff and owner are so passionate about well-made artisan product. You know, they carry some of my favorite houses: Andy Tower, Amouage Healy, Mancera, Montal Frappon, etc. And sure enough, when MiN first opened, I read up about them in some magazines and went down there for the opening. I got to meet Mindy and Chad there, and what they've done with the space and how they've grown their business is really just phenomenal. And it's great to see people who love what they do to be successful in doing it. Now, it really shouldn't come as any sort of surprise that MiN very recently released their own line of fragrances. They've been doing soaps and grooming products since their inception, but this is obviously a bigger step. And when I found out about this, I was really interested. The caveat that, though, just so you guys know, is that you have to be a member of their MiN New York club. These fragrances, for a little while at least, will be available for members and then will be released for the general public. Now, to be a member, you need to get some references, I believe, and fill out an online application and email it to MiN. And obviously, you know, they have some criteria on who they're going to select, but I was lucky enough to be selected as a member, and that gets you some other really cool benefits like discounts store-wide, access to fragrances first, complimentary samples, concierge service, and I'll show you I want to do the presentation later in the video, but it comes with a pretty snazzy coin that comes in a pretty snazzy little pouch as well. And I believe the coin is made from subway tokens, former New York subway tokens. So very cool, and a very cool little pouch as well. So that's your membership coin. So really, really neat concept. I think it's awesome, and they're sort of taking the idea of the speakeasy and please don't tell experience to fragrances, and that's awesome. And so I went down this week to check the collection out and get my first bottle, and basically the collection as of today has 11 fragrances, each for a chapter in the creators' lives, and they come in 75 ml bottles for $180. And I love how MiN has priced these to move. When I first saw what these would look like and thought about MiN quality, I thought these might be $300 or $400, but at $180 for 75 ml, these are very affordable, and that's a good thing because these are awesome, beautiful, handcrafted fragrances. And the experience works like such. When you get there, you present your coin, and then there's a back room with a vintage steel door that has a little swing window, like an underground gambling den or speakeasy, so the person on the inside can see who's outside. And then you go to this room that's very dark. There's some neon blue lighting, and it looks very, it's very cool, cool in there. It's sort of looks like a laboratory, and each fragrance is lined up with a glass beaker in front, and the glass beaker has a stopper, and they let you go through each one, starting from the lightest, which I believe is Dune Road or Longboard, up through the most complex, which is called Moon Dust. And if you want, they'll spray them for you, but you also can stick your nose in the beaker, warm the scent up with your hand, and get a good whiff of it. It's a great way to experience fragrances. And I'll tell you just a real quick story. When I first got into wines, my friend has a liquor store on the Upper East Side called the Vino Veritas. I think it's the best Italian curated wine selection in New York, so a lot like MiN in that respect. And he would take me to tastings, and we go to these huge tastings, and there'd be like shot girls and just like you know, rum companies, and there'd be a lot of low-end stuff, and I sort of like, you know, thought this is lame, you know. And then one time he was like, look, I'm going to take you to the Italian wine tasting. It's only once every couple of years. You know, it's in New York. That I was like, I don't know, man. The other ones were kind of whack. He was like, nah, trust me, come to this one. So I went, and it was in this old library on Madison Avenue in I think the 50s. And it was crazy. It's this pre-war building, and it was catered by either Batali or Bastianic. And it was just one of the most incredible events I've ever been to in my life. There were Barolos and Amarones and Barbaresco, and even the cheaper Italian varietals like Nero d'Avolo and Chianti. Even the ones there were just the top of the line, and you're sitting there drinking $700-800 wines with people who are masters of the wine universe. And I walked out of that and I was like, wow, this is the way you're supposed to taste wine. This is the environment, perfect. Everything just clicked with me. And when I walked out of MiN, I thought the same exact thing this time. I was like, this is how you should experience fragrance, and this is how anyone who has a fragrance company and is serious about people experiencing their creations should experience fragrance. So just want to say that before I go on. But then also in this room, there's a perfumer organ with some of the materials used to make the scents. And the one that I picked was Momento. But I have to tell you guys, as of right now, there are 7 of these on my to-buy list. Longboard, Barrel, Dahab, Shaman, Moondust, Botanist, Old School Bench. And of course, they did give me some samples. I got samples of Dahab, Barrel, and Moondust. Now, these were all handmade in Grasse, France, macerated in New York, and hand-poured in New York. And the quality of these fragrances is just totally unreal. As I said, the price point, $180 for 75 ml. And the notes, just so you know, Momento are bergamot, lemon, aldehydes, tarragon, absinthe, lavender and carnation, rose, jasmine, gaiac wood, apophynix, and patchouli. Now, as far as your presentation goes, mine came wrapped in a box with a beautiful bow, and the ribbon is like so. MiN New York, the art of living. I'm totally keeping this ribbon. It's a very high quality. Of course, also the pouch, as I said, with the coin. I thought this was going to be a chintzy, like, Cracker Jack coin or something out of a Fruity Pebbles box, and it's a really, really beautiful coin. And then the box is just bananas, man. You see it has the crest, that's all, totally dark. And inside you have some copy, Momento, a perfume of heritage. The scent evokes flashbacks of faded memories, a visit to a familiar childhood place. The scent of lost treasures, like a box of old photographs of love letters. This is the scent of love and happiness, timeless favorites, all good things. Chad signature and the MiN crest, which is embossed. MiN New York, the art of living, the address and the website and the Twitter hashtag. And then here, MiN New York padded so that the bottle will sit secure where it is supposed to sit. I think I have it the wrong. No, I got it. So it's going to sit like that when you get it. And the bottle is just bananas too. MiN New York, obviously, Momento with a strike through it. You have the numbering of your bottle there. Mine was bottle 193. Again, the MiN address. You have the MiN crest carved into the top of the bottle. It is magnetic. The top is magnetic, the cap. You have what looks like a brushed aluminum cap sitting on the magnet, and a perfect atomizer, as good as an atomizer as I've ever used. And the bottle is painted in the inside so that sunlight cannot affect the juice. So as you can tell, every single detail has been thought out when thinking of the presentation for these Scent Story fragrances. So fantastic job there, can't do better. And what an absolutely fantastic scent. This is just incredible. If you, like me, like myrrh, well, then you have to get your nose on this, because to me this is sort of the ultimate myrrh scent. What Richwood by Xerjoff is to sandalwood, and what Tuscan leather is to leather, is what Momento is to apophynix, aka sweet myrrh. I really love Prada's Amber Pour Homme Intense, and this sort of feels like that scent, but made with the absolute best materials and expertly blended. And that Prada one has some dirty patchouli in it, which to me makes it a little rugged and dusty. And this one has patchouli in it as well, but it's way more cleaned up and refined than patchouli in this, so you get a lot cleaner of a scent. And basically, this opens up with what feels like some very sharp, pungent citrus, most notably lemon, but I definitely get some bergamot as well, and that all sits over just an incredible apophynix note. As I said, apophynix, obviously, for those of you who don't know, is sweet myrrh. And as the fragrance evolves on the skin, you'll pick up other notes, but they're going to be bit players. You know, tarragon is there, as is the absinthe, This smells like absinthe to me after it's louche. You know, when you pour absinthe out of a bottle, you have to let some water get into it, stir it around so that it turns a milky white, and that's called louching. That really opens the absinthe up, and it becomes very aromatic after it's louche. So this smells like it has some absinthe that's louched in it. Also, touches of florals are there as well, the rose, and I get some gaiac wood as well. And I would say this scent is sort of linear in that it is that monstrous, assertive myrrh note is front and center on this guy, but it's also deceptive because the bit players around the myrrh do sort of interchange as this evolves on the skin. Beast of a performer. I've gotten 12 hours so far when wearing this one. It's gotten me through several work days. Moderate projection, really for the life of the fragrance. It's not something that's going to offend anyone. It's not going to get into someone else's space, though the sillage and projection are moderate in strength, which is great. You know, you don't want to overwhelm anyone with myrrh. I think seasonally this can be worn 4 seasons out of the year, but fall and winter are best. You know, there are great other options in the myrrh collection for spring and summer, but this could definitely work in the spring and used sparingly on summer evenings. I think this could easily be a men or women scent, but I think men might like this a little bit better than women. And as far as occasion goes, you know, this is great for casual or formal nights. Could be used as an office scent, again sparingly, but I'm really looking towards this. I think it's my night out scent this fall and for many falls to come. So rating, well, if you guys haven't already figured this out, I'm bowled over by this concept and collection. You know, MiN really was sort of like a one-of-one store for a while as a niche perfume shop in Soho. You know, Aids de Venustus was there for a while, but to me, that never really felt like a place that embraced the fragrance community. It felt more like a place for the sophisticated West Village clientele. That's just my opinion now. MiN really embraced Fraycom, and it's a place where the average Joe who knew or knows nothing about fragrance could come in and be treated like family by the staff. And you guys know recently some other fragrance spots opened up, right? We've got Oswald near Tribeca, Twisted Lily in Brooklyn, and even the high-end department stores like Bergdorf and Barney's are carrying houses like Amouage and Montel and Roja Dove. And, you know, I was sitting back wondering how MiN is going to deal with the competition, and I was wondering so even more when I saw like that Fraycom houses, favorite Fraycom houses like Xerjoff and Bykilian were no longer being sold at MiN. You know, I was a little worried, to be quite honest, because as I said, I was invested in MiN since the beginning. I'm a born and raised Upper East Sider. I was born in Lenox Hill Hospital. I grew up on Park Avenue and 72nd Street. That's where I hang out. That's home base. That's where my job is. So it takes a lot for me to go to buy downtown. And I don't go to MiN nearly enough. But if I knew that I was going to buy a fragrance and MiN had it, I would always go out of my way to get it from MiN. So I did wonder, you know, where's MiN going next now? And man, to say they've responded and answered those questions in a big way is not even close to communicating the job that they did on this collection. They nailed every piece of this, from the door that lets you into the secret room, to the way you experience the fragrances, to the ribbon on the box, to the heft of the coin. This just really shouts, we care about everything we do and everything we put our name on. And my favorite products are from Apple and Muji and Rolex, and companies that think through everything they release. And you always hear me talk about presentation, how important is presentation, and not enough fragrance companies get that, and some overkill presentation. Now with that said, if fragrances aren't good, well then none of it matters, because who cares what a fragrance comes in if you don't want to wear it? Well, MiN addressed that in spades, because this collection has something for everyone. It's got something for people who like boozy scents, people who like oud, people who like earthy scents, people who like beachy stuff, people who like stuff that's a little weird, to people like me who just want to smell good but not like everyone else. And I told you when I walked out of that wine tasting, it all clicked. And that's exactly how I felt when I left MiN after this experience. I thought to myself, this is the best fragrance experience I've ever had at any retailer, and they made the fragrances that they're selling. Fragrances are a copycat industry, folks. Everyone's doing oud. Every designer is doing an extreme, intense, or absolute version of their top seller and putting a Popinax in it and some vanilla. And every boutique will copy MiN. Mark my words on that. But by then, MiN will already be on to the next big thing, so it won't even matter. This is a 10 for 10 for me without question, 10 out of 10. We've done 178 videos together, guys. I think you trust me by this point. I don't think I've ever led you guys astray. Apply for your MiN membership, and if you're not accepted, shit happens. When these come out, do everything and anything you have to do to get your hands on them, because MiN gets what we want, and MiN understands not only how to make great fragrances, but how to make great products. And that, my friends, cannot be taught and cannot be copied. I'll see you all next week. I'm Maximilian.
Patiently correction leaves us all alone, and sometimes I